Hi. So I haven't done any form instruction really at all on the web. So these are just little things that might help you along the way. So what we're going to do is start with the bottom of the body and work up. So be patient. Try to, if you have time to listen to it all, great. First is the feet. So the feet should be flat like on tofu. You don't want to grip the ground with your feet when you do Tai Chi at all. So the feet should be relaxed, but at the same time the instep should be lifted. It's not a flat instep. It's active. This is the punk in the foot is the instep. So you want to keep that nice and flat. When you step out in the form, we step out with the heel and then the toe goes down. In general, that's the pattern. There's exceptions, but for the most part like that. And you step out empty, you don't put the weight right away, you don't go. Kind of put it down lightly and slowly peel it onto the ground like you're putting on a sticker on a window, so you don't want any air bubbles. And then we usually step shoulder width for most of the postures. There's exceptions, but most of them are shoulder width. This is to open your hips. So now the legs should stay round for the most of the part. Even when you stand up in like white crane or anything that you slightly stand up, you want to keep a little bend in the knee. And so you always have this kind of pung going on in the legs. So the thighs should be forward to create the pung, or the roundness here in the leg. And that pung really then, Tai Chi is based on something called Mambo, which is basically double weighted pung, which is just two thighs forward, weight 50-50. And they realize this is a limited stance in terms of going backwards and forwards. You can go sideways, okay, but so what they did was just turn the foot out and toe it and turn into it. And you still keep the pung of this Mambo, which is horse riding stance, and you're still holding the horse. If you do this, it's no good, right? The horse is pushing your legs apart. So you want the legs to be, that's the pung. This roundness in the legs created by the horse. Then you learn to shift, right? So again, like I always say, you dissolve one leg to shift. You don't push the weight up forward with that back leg because you just made yourself lean. And you lose the pung in this leg. So you can't lose the pung, you just dissolve one leg. So that's the legs. The hip joints are very important in Tai Chi, and we're trying to not move the knees so that the hips can rotate. So if I move my knee, my hip won't rotate much. But if I can keep my knee stable, I can rotate my hip joint. So you want the hip joint to rotate with the knee being stable. So this is really important for the ball and socket joint, and therapeutic, right, for the hips. So, and then the tailbone. So the tailbone, different systems do slightly different, but in general it should be upright. The coccyx should be upright. The tailbone can have a slight tilt, but we'll talk more about that when I get to the back. So the main thing is you don't want to stick your butt out, because then the thigh doesn't go forward and you lose the pung in the leg. So you want the tailbone to drop a little bit into the hip joint. That creates the fulcrum. And then the empty leg creates the circle. So this fulcrum creates circle, and that's true of any posture you're doing. You create a fulcrum, that creates a circle. So this we call the yang leg, but the yin aspect is it's going into the ground. This is the yin leg, but the yang aspect is it's going up into the sky. So like that, everything's balanced that way. And then you feel that yang aspect go into this hand. So the yin aspect is the fact that it's kind of relaxed, but the hand itself is full, or yang. So the palm. So that's kind of how we start connecting the body together. What makes that possible is the tailbone drops into the hip. And that happens, that activates this ladder of effect all the way through the body. So you go from the tailbone also should feel like it's connected to your foot. So we call that sinking. You're trying to drop everything into the foot. You're not trying to do this and lean over the leg at all. You're really trying to just pour into your foot. And again, it's like if you have a bottle and you're throwing water across the top of the bottle, you're not going to get much water in the bottle. But if you gently pour it in there, you're going to get a lot more water in the bottle. So that's why we kind of go slow and very methodical. And this develops strength in the legs too. So Also therapeutic, also strength training at the same time. So that's the hips and the tailbone. Now the back should feel like it's being lifted up out of your spine. So what you do is you feel your tailbone drop, like I said before, and the head top lift like someone's holding you up like from the string. And that drops your chin and pushes your tongue on the palate. So what you're doing is taking the natural compression of the spine and taking the stress off and elongating, giving a little traction. Not by tucking the tailbone, that's too much traction, because then you actually fold the spine on the inside. You don't want that. You want all the vertebrae to be separate and all the compression on the disc to stop happening. And so that's why we don't run in Tai Chi, because it's just more compression on the disc. So we want to get the health back into the disc. So we want a nice tall spine, really long. So we're not taking out the S in the spine, the natural curve. We're just making it longer. And this is really therapeutic for the whole nervous system, because then all the nerve channels are in your spine. So if they're open, then the signals are going clearly to the organs, so they'll naturally do their job. So that's the therapeutic end as well. So keep the spine really tall and long and straight. Try not to lean too much. There's exceptions, but try not to lean, because you're fighting gravity, so you can't relax. So you want to try to stay relaxed and upright. And then when that can happen, you can move from the navel. So it's kind of like you're holding a banner, a flag banner, and it's really, really heavy, and you want to move your whole body to move this flag banner. You don't want to try to move it with your arms and shoulders, because it's like 20 feet long, let's say, and it'll just fall. So they would strap it to you in the old days, and then you'd hold it like that, and the only way to move it is with your legs and waist, like that. So this is very calming principle in Tai Chi, and that helps you shift your weight. If you want to move it more, you shift your weight, and you have to connect it, all that shifting to your waist also keeps everything in line vertically. If you lean forward a little bit, that flag is just going to fall. If you lean back, same problem. It'll just take you back. To the side, same problem. So you have to be upright, put it in your hips, and use your legs. So that brings me to the shoulders. The shoulders should stay away from the ears. And the scapula in general slide down your back. So whenever you lift your hands, the scapula kind of slide back down towards your tailbone. And that drops your chin and lifts your head top and your occipital bone up. And so that also allows you to push your tongue up on your palate. So all those things happen together. So this pung in the leg just moves up through the body into the hands this way. So your center is always dropping down. And that lifts, likewise, your head top up. So this is one thing, these counterbalances all the time in Tai Chi are really important. And so that's the shoulders, and again, you don't want to hunch the shoulders forward, which you see a lot in people. This is not what you want. The chest should be open, and that allows the scapula to drop. And then what you do is take the sternum and relax the sternum a little bit, without collapsing it. This is not right. This is not right. It's in between. You have to find that balance again. And that connects, again, through the dantian. So you're going to feel, this will cultivate the three dantians really beautifully if you practice that way. What else? Arms. So the arms basically are just exactly proportionate to the leg. So if this leg has pung, a full pung, this arm has that same pung. So it's the same, pung just means, I call it circle, or ward off energy, but it's this kind of circular energy that you see in all living things. And then we not only keep that circle, but we make it an orbit, so it's always creating a new orbit out of the legs, which creates a new orbit out of the arms. So this kind of connection. So basically you have to have center equilibrium for your form practice, and you have to move as a unit. Those two you have to do. Doesn't matter what system. Okay? So any way you can keep center equilibrium, that's fine. Do that. Any way you can keep the whole body moving as a unit. This is really what Tai Chi is about, is integration. So the first integration is from the lower body to the upper body. That's the first. Second is left and right integration. Second, third is front and back. Fourth is inside and outside body, Waigang Negang. And then you have this integration between you and the rest of the universe. When this integration starts from the inside like this, through the whole body, becomes a vehicle for this integration with you and the outside world or the universe. And this is most important practice of Tai Chi that really it is very needed in this world right now. So it's this lack of integration, I think, that's really hurting people and each other and their bodies and everything. So then that's pretty much it. The hands. So the hands, they're not collapsed like your feet. They're spread apart. The thumb, you're looking through the thumb. Whenever you do a posture, this is your viewfinder. The thumb and the forefinger, see it? So the index finger is your center line. So at any time you do a posture, this index finger ends up along your center line. This is for protection. This is the martial aspect. The middle finger is your core, they call it in yoga, but center, or it connects to your bubbling well, which is K1 in the foot, right about there. And you want to feel that connection with this all the way through the center of your body into this hand, into this finger. It can be on both fingers. This is also the shin, so that this extends the shin. So you're thinking out with that middle finger about 3 or 4 feet. You know, give or take how well you can do it. And then this finger is your shoulders and hips. So when this rotates, it rotates your shoulders and hips and vice versa. This pinky finger is your ankles and wrists. So it rotates with the ankles and the wrist. When they rotate, it rotates the pinky. So that's the hand, and you don't want to collapse it, right? It also isn't stiff like in karate maybe. It's kind of relaxed, but at the same time it's kind of open. So eventually you're going to make it kind of smooth, but keep the shape. Eyes follow navel and shoulders and hips, and this hand, like I mentioned before. Your eyes are also looking inwards as they're looking outwards. So you're not just focused on looking outwards. You should be looking inwards at the same time. Breath. 4 words for the breath. Slow, deep, fine, quiet. Slow just means not fast. Deep means you're breathing all the way down into the diaphragm, into your perineum. Fine means it's so fine, like you're putting a needle through a thread, that kind of awareness. And then quiet just means you can't hear it. So if someone's standing next to you, they shouldn't hear anything. So I think that's a good place to start. Just remember, the shifting should be really smooth. It's not choppy at all. And keep your body open. Don't collapse the shoulders and hips. Everything should be open. The shoulders and hips all open with pung. Everything round with pung. That's the most important. Okay.